here we have Betty Bunny. And what we're going to do is start off, first of all, by planning her out. So just as always, guys, if you want to have another look at her, just let me know. And I can always bring the original picture back. So, oh, do you know what? I haven't switched my light on. Hang on a second. Ping, there goes the brighter light. So what I'd like you to do to start off with is find the very middle of your canvas. So imagine that there's a big X going through, and where those two lines cross each other, just put yourself a little mark. So I'm going to make these quite dark so that you can see them on screen, but I'd really like you guys to do it as faintly as possible. And then what we're going to do is we're going to find halfway between the top of our paper and our mark that we've just made. Okay? And then what I'd like you to do, we're going to go halfway between those there. So we've got 3 marks near each other. And then you see how big this one is? We're going to do one about the same. So you might find it easier just to kind of go like that with your fingers, move it and put it just below. So we've now got 4 marks.
Tony, please do that.
Sorry, say that again, lovely.
Please, can you redo the step like you just did? It froze.
Oh yes, of course, my love. So I've gone halfway down. I'll redo all of it for you. So found the middle of my canvas, gone up halfway between the dot and the top, and then I've gone down halfway between those two. So I've got a middle one there. So that will give me 3 dots. And then I'm going to see roughly how big this gap is. And I'm going to move my fingers down and put in another one there. So I've now got 4 marks. Okay. Yeah, cool. So what I'm going to do is I am going to join up these 2 here. I'm going to make this into a circle. So I've done it quite roughly for now. Okay, when you've done that, give me a thumbs up. Yeah, excellent. And then what I want to do is 2 ovals that are going to be our ears that come up. So if you go straight up to the top of your canvas and mark the middle, and then just like we did it before, 2 little lines. So you've split it into quarters. So I've got here and here. This is giving us the direction to point our ears in. So I'm going to do a couple of really long ovals pointing up towards this mark. Okay. Can you guys see that all okay? No? Okay, I'll do it a bit darker for you. So, okay. Oh, got a bit wrong there, went wonky. Can you see that better now, yeah? Yeah, awesome. Okay, so this is roughly going to be Betty. And then what we're going to do is basically 2 lines that come out. So it's almost like we've got a triangle that goes from the top of her head down. This is going to be her dress. Okay, so if you imagine we've got this top bit of a triangle that we're missing here, but we've got her, oh, let me just, the lead fell out of my pencil. Isn't that always the way? So hang on, let me put my lead back in. So, it's done it again. Okay. What's the betting? I haven't got another pencil now. So there we go. You can just see that's a little bit better. This is why the sort of reason I don't normally sketch it out with pencil. I do it with paint. So once you've got your triangle and your circle and 2 ears, give me a thumbs up. Yeah, cool. So we're going to do an arm that's going to be just like similar shape to these ears. One's just going to come down the side of her dress here, like that. And the other one is going to come in on this side. So if you were to draw a little circle here, okay, and then join it up to her head like that. And then we're just going to go across. So this is her arm that's bent round holding her handbag. Once you've got, have you all got that arm in? Yeah? Cool. So what we're going to do then is draw a line.
Tony, we haven't yet.
Okay. Where have you got to?
So we're just doing the arm which curves round in the dress.
Okay, no problem. Cool, awesome. So you know how we've done this triangle for her dress? What we're going to do next is do her bag. So we're going to do a little arch shape that goes over the top of that bent arm. And then the line's going to come down a little bit lower. And then we're going to go across like that, a nice kind of horizontal line, make it a little bit bigger than her handle. And then this is going to be just like her dress kind of flares out a bit. We're going to basically draw like a flared out rectangle. So once you've got that in, give me a thumbs up. Yeah, cool. Awesome. And then we're going to go back, just back up here now. So where her ears meet her head, on the top of it, we're going to do, oh, there goes my little bit of lead. So we're going to do a circle at the base of this ear where it meets the top of the head. And from that, we're going to make a bow shape. So we're going to have 2 more of those kind of flared shapes, like that. So these are obviously just guide marks, so we can change them a bit as we go on. And then finally, from that bow, we're going to come across the top of her head, like that, go up to her ear and back in. So we're finally just going to put in her face so that we know for later on. First of all, we'll do her features and then we'll put her glasses in. So if we imagine that there's a straight line that comes down from that center point of the circle, we're going to drop down a little bit, draw in our line like that, make that into a Y, which is going to be her nose. We're going to have 2 curved lines. That's it. My lead has totally died. So 2 curved lines at the bottom. And then we'll have 2 curved lines either side of her nose, like that. So that's her roughly, but like laid out. My pencil has died, so that is where I'm going to stop doing that. and I'm going to start painting. So give me a thumbs up if you've got that all done. Yeah, cool. So just remember, guys, these are just rough planning marks. And if there's any bits of it that you're not happy with, we can change them as you paint. So for example, I'm looking at mine thinking my circle for my head's a little bit small. So as I paint my background, I'm going to leave it a little bit wider. So let's start on our background. You're going to need white. So I'd give yourself 2 good splodges of white, a green and a blue. If you're green, if you've got like a sap green colour, which is quite a kind of dull planty colour, then maybe add a little bit of yellow to that as well. You won't need lots of these, the green particularly for this. You'll need much sort of paler, much more of your paler colours like your whites. So I'm going to make a nice kind of spring green colour. And for my sky, I'm going to use cerulean blue, but any of those kind of sky blue colours that you might have, you can use. And then I'm going to give myself 2 big spots of white next to them. What we're going to aim to do to create a little bit of feeling of perspective in this painting, in our background, is we're going to start off with our blue up here, quite strong, and as we work down, we're going to get paler. And then as we move over to our green, we're going to start to get, start off pale and start to get stronger as we go down, okay? So I'm going to start off, I'm going to use a flat square brush, and I'm going to add some white and some of my cerulean blue together. I've probably got about equal parts of both. So just lighten it up, add a bit of water and get it to the right consistency. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically start painting, and as I work my way down my canvas, I'm going to start to get paler and paler. Okay, so when you guys are all ready, you can get painting. So just to remind you all, we only want to paint with just enough paint to cover our canvas. I'm just going to stick with my my 1/2 inch flat brush to do this for now, because what I want is to have enough control to go around things like my ears. So if you're feeling super confident, you can go with a bigger brush. So I'm going to put some clouds on my sky as well. So I'm not fussed if my finish on this paint isn't perfectly flat. Okay, so, but I'm going to work roughly in bands. So now I've got that one in, I'm going to add a bit more white. So I just pull the white paint with my brush, add it to my blue sky colour that I've already got. And now I'm going to start to work around Betty's ears. And I'm going to work up into the sky colour that I've already got. So you can see I'm starting to get this kind of blend, and I don't mind if there's brush strokes showing and things like that. So makes the painting, she's quite flat, so it makes the painting a bit interesting to have kind of different things going on in the background. Everyone okay?
Please, can you go over that?
Of course. So, where have you got to?
Well, basically, my friend Gabby, she had to wash her hands.
Okay.
She missed a bit of it.
That's no problem. So what I've done is I've got some green and yellow and white out ready to do my grass, and I've got some blue, like cerulean blue or a sky blue, any light blue that you've got, well, any blue you've got at all really would work, and some white. I've added some water to some of the blue and the white, made it a little bit lighter, and I've started to paint in my sky. And I kind of did a band going across, and then once I've got that done and I'm happy with it, I'm adding more white as I work my way down, and when I get about level with her eyes, I'm going to stop. Okay, so, and I'm just brushing over the colors where they meet, the lighter and the sort of slightly darker blue, and sort of letting the colors blend into each other a bit. Okay, so you can see all my brush strokes and stuff, and that's fine because we're going to add some clouds and stuff in. So I am going to just go round and check that I'm happy with the size of my ears and things like that, so that making sure that they're all nice and even. So I've added a bit more white again and made my colour a bit lighter still. So as you can see, where I've put my pencil marks in quite darkly so that you guys can see, you can see them through the paint, which is why I was saying about doing them really faintly. So I've gone round Betty's bow, and now I'm going the other side of the ear. So I'm going to check that both of these ears are pretty much the same thickness and stuff. We are going to paint over them, so it's not the end of the world if they're not perfect, but we want to get them roughly the same.
Tony.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was doing. I accidentally painted over one of the ears. How can I make it look like an ear again?
No problem. Don't worry about that. So have you got some tissue there? Like,
yeah, I've tried doing the tonking method, but it's not worked.
Okay, so that's no problem. So don't touch it anymore. Just leave it to dry. And when we do come to paint over her, you can paint over it then. Okay.
Thanks.
No problem. It's hard, isn't it, to kind of remember, particularly when you got friends around. It's all a bit exciting. It is hard to remember where ears are and things like that. So I know I've done it as well. So once I get roughly down to where her eyes are, I want to be my palest blue colour. So, and I'm going to also rough in a horizon line. So I'm going to use another brush, and what I'm going to do is line it up. So if I move my hand over, you guys can see, I'm going to line it up with the bottom of my canvas or paper. I'm going to pinch a bit of it, and then what I'm going to do is hold where my thumb is. I'm going to dot all the way along my canvas on both sides of Betty. Ooh, run off the edge. And then when I join that up, that gives me a nice even horizon, so I don't have to worry about that being kind of wonky. And then I can paint that last bit in. So I'm going to add a bit more of my, oh, it's a bit thick, add a bit more water. There we go, that's better. So this is my really pale blue down here. So remember, we don't want to paint too thickly with our paint because it will take a really long time to dry. And actually we want to sort of be able to finish this painting today, hopefully. So obviously this painting is pretty much, you can go as abstract as you want with your colours. So our bunny doesn't have to be white. She can be any colour that you fancy her being. The same with the clothes that she's wearing and stuff. They can all change as much as you want. Give me a thumbs up when you've done that. Cool. What we're going to do is now go the other way. So we're going to start off with our pale green and work downwards. Actually, I'm saying that we're going to start with our dark green and work upwards and get paler. That's a much easier way to do it. So first thing I'm going to do is mix up my green and yellow. So you do need, with the green and yellow, much more yellow to get a nice colour than you do the green, otherwise it won't make a massive difference with it. So I'm going to add some water, get it to a good consistency. So give my brush a wipe out, get any excess paint off. And then I'm going to start down here at the bottom, working either side of Betty. So I've got this nice limey green colour, sort of spring grass kind of a colour. So you might find with the yellow and the green that it doesn't want to go particularly flat. So when you're painting kind of like grass and things like that, the best thing to do is to paint in a horizontal direction. So any streaks that you've got will look like they're kind of different patches of grass and stuff like that. So I'm going to go up just past her handbag, painting in a horizontal direction. And once I get roughly the same on both sides, I'm going to now start adding white and get paler as I go further away. So I'm going to take a bit of my green, and I'm actually going to take a bit of my white that's left over from my blue colour. Get a good mix on that. And then I'm going to start, just like we did with the sky, I'm going to overlap a little bit where those colours met each other. And you'll find with the paler green that it does actually, now it's got that white in, it does sit a little bit flat. It won't go quite as streaky as your pure green and yellow went. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same again. So I'm going to just keep painting bits and adding little bits of white to it each time, making it a bit paler to make it look like it's disappearing off into the distance. And that's a standard technique for any kind of landscape that you paint. It's things that are further away are paler. So regardless of what you're painting in a landscape, if it's at a distance, it will be paler than something that's closer to you. So I'm going to work over this side now. What I'm going to do is actually paint over the strap of Betty's bag. I can see it through the green, and it's still kind of there as my guide, but I will paint over the top of it with whatever colour. I'm going to let you guys pick my colours today again. So whatever colour I do end up doing her handbag. So a bit more white, lighten this up, and still going horizontally on my grass. So if we got time later on, it'd be really cool. You could add some flowers and things like that into your grass, which would look really nice. And those would still follow that same rule, which is that anything that's further away is paler. So if we've got time and you guys fancy it, we can do some flowers at the end. Can you guys see it on yours? Is yours starting to look a bit like it's kind of starting to go further away into the distance? Then I'm going to come right up. And I'm not worried about getting a really sharp line between my sky and my ground. Okay, so if your blue's still a little bit wet and you get a bit of a blend going on, that's fine. So when you paint things like landscapes, you can leave things like horizons and stuff, rather than having to paint a really sharp line there, you can paint it really sort of soft and blurry, and whoever's looking at your picture, their brain will fill that bit in anyway. So you can let them do the work for you rather than you having to do it. So what you can do, if you want, come down a little bit, turn your brush on its side, and you can just run a few of your paler brush strokes through into the lower areas, and you start to get a little bit of a kind of background much more. Okay, and that I'm done. I'm going to give my brush a good clean out. How's everyone getting on? You two okay?
She was just trying to make me sing. She was singing and it was annoying me, so I thought, next time you'll know. Everything's blurry today with my eyes.
Oh no! What have you been?
I've been to the opticians today and I got them drops in.
Oh no! Oh, that's horrible. So, did they say you needed glasses, or are you okay?
About that close to getting them.
Oh. It's kind of cool though having glasses, but they can be a bit of a pain in the bottom as well. So so the next thing we're going to do is so carry on painting your grass if you're still doing it, but the next thing we're going to do is paint in our bunny's dress colour and bandana colour. So if I show you my original, so this is where you can go a bit kind of improvise and go whichever direction you want to go in. So what I did with this originally was I used pink here for her main part of her dress and then painted the stripes on afterwards. And the same with her bandana. I did it a solid pink colour and then put the flowers on afterwards. But I'm going to take my suggestions from you guys, so you don't have to stick to the same colour. But what colours shall I do mine today? Any suggestions?
Blue, purple and blue. Yeah, purple and blue.
Purple and blue? Yeah, do you think that sounds good, guys? I'm going to go with that then. So what I'd like everyone to do is get out their main dress colour. So obviously if you're going to put stripes on, you can put stripes on. What I would say though is if you're, say you're going with, for example, if you were going with yellow and blue stripes, don't try and paint yellow over the top of blue. So if you've got if you're going to do yellow, do the yellow now and then paint something over the top, unless you're planning on doing like yellow flowers or something, or yellow dots, something small, then yes, do the dots afterwards. But so I'm doing purple and blue. I'm going to, let me see, what have I got? I'm going to go with, I've got some purple there. So I think what I'll do then, I'm going to give her purple, a purpley dress, a blue bandana, and then I'm going to give her pink sunglasses. So I kind of move the colours around a bit, and I'm going to add some white. Actually, I might use my leftover from here. So add a bit more white. So I've gone for sort of a lilac-y purple because that's a nice spring kind of a colour. Scrape all the extra paint off onto the side of my canvas, add a bit of water. You okay? So I'm going to get any extra off so I get a nice good edge, and then I'm going to go over my dress, but I'm going to go round my bag. So what I'm going to do as well while I'm doing this is I'm just slightly curving the dress. So that initial one that we did, that line, that was very straight, and we're going to curve these ones. So what's colours is everyone going for?
Orange and pink.
Oh wow.
Purple and orange and pink.
Okay, so in that case, are you going, what are you going for as your base colour? Orange?
Wait, on this one I've drawn the lines and dots, so I thought I could go around, paint one, do one line orange, then leave it so I can fill it in later. One line orange, leave it, fill it in later. One line orange, leave it, fill it in later.
Okay, what I would do is do the whole thing in orange and then go over it with the pink, because the pink will go over it nicely. Oh, is that what you're doing, Danny? Excellent.
Sorry, I meant, and when I said orange and pink, I meant to say orange and purple. Sorry, I got mixed up.
Oh, wow, that's going to make your eyes go funny.
I'm doing dots.
Oh, nice. But orange and purple are on the opposite sides of the colour wheel from each other. Not totally, but like they're kind of, they sit, so they're going to clash and make your eyes go all really funny. So that should look amazing. So I'm going to go round her neck. So I'm going to go over the top of her arm, but remember to stop where the side of her dress is. So, and then I'm going to go across the top of the bag here and around her arm. And then what you might find to do this little bit between her bag and her arm on the other side, you might find that a smaller brush will make that a bit easier, but that's up to you. So don't forget, we've got to go over her anyway, so that's not a problem. So once you've got that all nice and flat.
Tony.
Yeah.
I've accidentally painted her hand as the dress.
Okay, no problem. So you know about tonking, yeah, taking off, just putting a tissue on and rubbing the area you want to take off and then peeling the tissue off. So do that and then just leave it to dry and you can paint over it.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. So, and then the other thing I'm going to do, once I've got my kind of dress pretty much in where I want it to be, I'm going to just put a little line going across, these are the straps on the top of her dress. So you can kind of scoot those out either side. Put some little armholes in. I'm now going to put in my blue. I'm going to use an ultramarine and white for the blue for her bandana. So the reason I'm doing that is because it will give me a different tone of blue for that. So a much more purpley blue. Just makes it a bit more interesting. So it won't really show up that much if I was to use the same blue as the sky, unless I was using it a lot kind of darker. So again, this is the point where any of the bits that your planning marks you weren't sure about, this is where you can change them. So if you want a bigger bow on your bunny, you can do that now. So I think I might actually I'm going to go even bigger, I think. So I'm just I'm rounding off these kind of wedgy shapes that we've got. So I've got a circle in the middle, so I'm going to paint that in. And then we've got the bow and the kind of bandana that goes around the head as well. So I'm going to even up bow, make that as big. And I'm also going to bring the bandana down around her head. Oh, that looks good with the pink spots, Danny. So you might find that it helps you to paint the different bits of the bandana in separately, and then you'll have an idea of what goes where for later on when we start to put the details on. So there she goes. She's got a big old bandana on my one. Wow. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, looking good.
Tony,
Yeah.
can I do the bandana in pink or orange?
I think I personally would do it in pink if I were you, because it's kind of complementing the spots on her dress. So, because then what you can do is paint like orange spots maybe on her bandana. So once you've got her bandana and her dress painted in, give me a thumbs up. Cool, excellent. What we need to do, oh, diagonal stripes. Wow. She's fantastic. How awesome is she? Excellent. Oh, beautiful. Are you not tempted to go even bigger with the bow, Alana? You're not going to go even bigger with the bow?
I was, but I did do it as soon as I done it. I realised what I'd done, but I don't really know how to change it. So
That's okay. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, she's very tall and willowy, your one. That's okay. So what you can do is just leave it to dry off and then you can go over it. Yeah. Cool. So, oh, nice. Oh, wow. You're getting very ahead of me, you guys, aren't you? So, Sophia, that looked lovely. That's what I was saying. She's obviously a supermodel bunny because yours is very tall and willowy, like a supermodel. You've got a 6-foot bunny. So while we leave those bits to dry off, what we can do is paint in her bag. So I'm open again to suggestions on mine. What colour shall I do her bag?
maybe like a browny leathery sort of bag.
Oh, okay. I hadn't thought of that. See, I'd have matched it. I'd have coordinated it with something else, but I could do that. Yeah. Okay. I don't think I got any brown out today, so I will have to make. So how do you guys know how you make brown? Oh, any suggestions?
Yellow and orange, my mum says.
Yellow and orange, would that not just make a more orangey orange? So there's a few different ways you can make brown. You can use red, yellow and blue. You can use red and black. Yeah, there's quite a few different ways to do it. I'm going to use red and black, and then I will probably add a little bit of yellow to it as well. And that'll give me quite a dark brown, but I can then add a bit of white to lighten it if I need to. So I think my bunny would probably have matching shoes if we could see them. Hers would be matching her handbag because she's definitely a bit of a fashionista, my one. So this is red and black mixed together. She's given me quite a dark brown. If I take a bit of this, add it to some yellow, that will lighten it up. And as you can see, it gives me a brownie colour. So I'm going to add a bit more.
And Tony, I don't know what colour to do my handbag.
See, again, you see, I think if I was kind of as trendy as our rabbit, I think I would have a bag that matched my bandana, or it would match my shoes, I think. So I think you could use pink, or you could, if you decide to go, you know, something like, say, purple and orange flowers on her bandana, then she could have a purple handbag. So what I would do is, whichever colour you decide that you're going to do your handbag, then save a bit of it back and use it for like in your spots or your flowers or something like that on her bandana, so that she's all very coordinated and very put together. So this is my Bunny's brown handbag. So I'm going to definitely use some brown somewhere else. So that's a good idea, like guide for you guys. If you ever need to mix some brown but don't have any, you can use some red and some black and a bit of yellow to make it. And I'm going to leave the other strap that goes over her arm until I've painted the rest of her arm in. So oh, cool. That looks good. So is everyone going to keep with a white rabbit? Oh, looking excellent. You're going to keep with a white rabbit, yeah? Or do you want to go with, you'd have a patterned one or a different colour?
We think we might do brown over here. She's going to do brown.
Okay. So what I would suggest is, if you're going to go with brown, go with a light brown. So yes, Alana, you don't have to put your hand up, lovely.
Oh, I'm going with a light grey bunny.
Oh, nice. Do you know what? I think I might join you actually. So if you're going to go with a whatever colour bunny you're going to go with, I personally would go with a lighter one, unless you specifically want to go with like, you know, if you've got a bunny and it's that, you know, that particular colour or something like that. Only because when we come to do the features, it just makes them stand out and a bit easier. And what I'm going to do is mix up I'm going to do a pale sort of grey colour as well, but I'm going to go with a slightly sort of browny, kind of browny grey. So we've got a rabbit and she's kind of like, she's all different colours. So she's kind of, bits of her are grey and bits of her are white and bits are sort of more of a brown and stuff like that. So I'm going to kind of go with her colour. So I'm going to have a lot of white, a tiny bit of black and a little bit of brown in mine to get her colour. So if you want to keep with pure white, then keep with that. If you are going with grey, something to remember about it is that grey dries off a lot darker than the paint is when it's wet. So make your grey colour a lot lighter than the colour that you want it to end up being, okay? So give my brush a good wipe out. And then I'm going to go over. So to get good edges on things, don't forget you have your paint ever so slightly more watery than you do normally for painting. So not wet and sort of watercolory watery, but just a little bit more kind of fluidy. And don't overload your brush, so because then you get kind of lumps. So I'm going to go round. This is her arm. If you want to make it a bit bigger, this is a good time to do it. So if you've got a bit skinny, she's a bit sort of, you know, kind of a bit supermodel-y, and she's a bit too skinny. Looks like she needs a good dinner and a great big carrot. Then you can fatten her up a little bit now. So that's one. Mine's very chic, I think. I think mine's very chic rabbit, all in grey. And then I'm going to go exactly the same with the arm that's holding the bag.
Tony?
Yeah?
Do we just do the arms, or can we do the ears and the head as well?
Yeah, I'm going to do all of mine. And if you want to put sort of spots or patches on her, then absolutely go for it. So I'm going to go around and her arm like that. I'm going to go. So again, this is a good point. If you've made her head a bit small or your bandana's got a bit of a funny shape, doing this at this point will give you a lovely, you can change it and make her head a bit bigger, or you can just sort of tweak the shapes of things. Just go round. That, just get a good cover. And then I'm going to go over her ears, but what I'm going to do is do an inside part in pink afterwards. So we'll do that next. So if you have got a bit ahead of me and you want to get ready to do the next point, we're going to be mix it. You can mix yourself up some pale pink if you want. Okay. So get those one ear in, and then I'm going to get the other one in. I'm going to make sure that they're nicely the same kind of size and shape. If you went a bit wrong and you've got to paint in your ear, now is the chance to do it. So get those ears nice and even. So I'm going to mix myself up quickly. a little bit of a pink tone. What I want is for it to be just slightly darker than whatever colour we have painted our rabbit. So if you're gone for a white rabbit, then you want a really pale pink for this next bit. If you've gone for like a grey or a darker rabbit, then you want to go with a slightly stronger pink colour. So I've got some pink, we don't need masses of it, and some white. And what you might find helps to tell whether it's too strong or too light is just paint a little bit of it onto something like a tissue or a bit of paper and hold it next to your rabbit and just see whether it's too light or too strong. Once you've got a colour that you're happy with, give me a bit of a thumbs up. Cool. So the first thing I'm going to do, so my rabbit is still a bit wet. We're going to use that to our advantage. So I'm going to load up my brush with my pink and I'm going to put a stripe right up the middle of my ear. And then I'm going to turn my brush over and using the other side, put another stripe up the middle of the other ear, like that. And then I'm going to switch brushes over to a clean brush. Let's find a nice soft clean brush. There's a good one. So I've got a little round brush. And what I'm going to do is just around the edges of that, I'm going to dab my paintbrush. And can you see what I'm doing is making the edge all sort of soft and blending the pink and the grey into each other. Okay. So don't panic if you're still painting your actual rabbit or anything. I'll go over this again. So just doing that same thing, just dabbing all over that pink and blending it out. I'm going to do that on both sides. So you can just see that little bit of pink. And then I'm going to give my brush a good clean out. And I'm going to do a similar thing down on the face. So first of all, I'm going to do two cheeks. So I'm going to do two circle shapes. Want to make them quite big, like that. And then I'm going to go just around the edge with my soft brush and I'm just going to dab it and it just softens and blends that edge. And what you can do if you want to, you can do that a couple of times. So add a bit more paint on each one. And then just again, it's just kind of like doing like real makeup where you blend it all. That's what we're doing. We're just blending like that, getting a soft edge between our cheeks and the main part of the face. So I'll show you that again. I'm going to do the ears again. So I'll do one. So just a line with my pink paint and then just dabbing my clean brush over and just changing that so it's all nice and softly blended. And when it dries, it'll soften into a nice blend. So Danny, did you catch all of that? Shall I do it again for you? So I'll just show you one more time with my pink. So I've just painted pink stripe up the middle of the ear, and then with my clean brush, just dabbed all over it, backwards and forwards, and it softens and blends the two wet paints into each other and just gives you this kind of lovely soft pink tone in the middle of your ears and also for your cheeks. And then we're going to do this one last time between our two cheeks here. What we're going to do is basically paint a diamond shape. So with our pink, we're just going to do a diamond shape like that, but then we're just going to blend the very top of it. So what we're doing is this was going to be our nose, but it's just going to fade into our colour. So mine's looking very patchy at the moment where she's starting to dry off, but she should hopefully dry quite a lot flatter. What I'm also going to do is before it dries out and while her arm is starting to dry, I'm going to go back to my brown from my bag, and I'm just going to put the strap over her arm. So that's just that arc shape that we drew in earlier. Brush good clean. Give me a thumbs up when you've got all your cheeks and your nose and everything done. Yeah, awesome. So Cara, are you're by yourself? You're okay? Yeah, you're fine. Excellent.
Yeah, Sophia's gone off somewhere for a minute, but it's fine. We'll catch up.
That's no worries. So these are looking really great, guys. What we're going to do now is leave that all to dry for a minute, and we are going to put a few flowers and some clouds and things like that in. So what I'd like you to do is, first of all, we're going to do some clouds. So what you need is a nice big clean brush, like a dry one. So it doesn't matter what size or shape it is, it just needs to be clean and dry. And just like we were doing with the cheeks and the ears, where we were kind of dabbing our brush, this is how we're going to do our clouds. So I'm going to use a bit of white. And can you see I've only put the tiniest bit of white on the tip of my brush. And any bits on our sky where we're not happy with them, what we can do is start with that really small amount of paint. We're just dabbing and rubbing like this. And can you see, because I've only got a very small amount of paint on my brush, I'm starting to get this really kind of fluffy cloud that's almost, there's so little paint there, it's almost like not even there. And what I'm doing is these kind of long, almost like sausage shapes. So they're kind of thin at the ends, and then they get bigger in the middle, and then they sort of fade out to nothing. And that's how you kind of, a really good way of doing clouds. But the important thing for doing it is having just this really tiny little bit of paint on your brush. So you're kind of almost painting with no paint at all. So that is, so you've got lots of your background showing through rather than painting with loads and loads of solid paint. So it's all kind of wispy and nothing there almost. So I'm going to do some over here. And if you were going to be really technical about painting clouds, the ones that are at the top of the your painting would be much fatter and much taller and bigger, and the ones lower down would be a lot thinner, almost like lines. So particularly down near the horizon, your clouds would be really thin, and that's all to do with the angle that you see your clouds. So when you're painting something with a sky in, whatever it is, this is a really good way of doing it. Just dabbing that paint. So how's everyone get on with that? It's funny, isn't it, painting with hardly any paint? So when you paint clouds, really paint clouds, they're actually amazing, because you think they're all just white and fluffy, but they have literally hundreds and hundreds of colours in them. Cool. So don't forget, with our clouds, we're going for that kind of long sausage shape rather than kind of tall and fluffy. And as we get lower down in the picture, we're going to make them longer and thinner. So if we're going to add flowers to our background, so the opposite applies to this. So the higher up in the picture they are, they would be thinner, and as they come lower, they would get bigger and fatter. So what's a good way of painting flowers or a field of something is if you've got, has any of you got one of these fan brushes at all? Yeah? Excellent. So what you can do with a fan brush, it's a really good way of painting flowers. So just like I was saying with the grass. So any kind, if you haven't got one of these, it doesn't matter. You can use like any kind of a long flat brush. But what you do is to put in flowers. You start off doing lines like this. And then as you get down the painting, you start to get a bit brighter with your colour. And you start to get a little bit fatter as well. And then by the time you get right down to the bottom, then you go really kind of fat with them like that. And you can do all different colours. You can do yellows and oranges and whites and things like that, and they all look really good. That's quite a good way of getting some flowers in. So, and again, you don't want loads and loads of paint on your brush. You want your, whichever kind of brush you're using, you want it all to kind of separate out into areas, and then you get these spots happening. So. And what you can do then as well, for the really close ones, you can start to do individual flowers. So. So I get to put a few sort of bigger flowers in. And then once those are dried, I'll put middles in them. Oh, that's cool. Excellent. So guys, have your actual bunny started to dry off now? Yeah? Yeah, cool. So now that those are dry, you can start to put your patterns on. If you've already started to put things like spots and stuff on, you can sort of turn those into flowers if you wanted to. You can put some jewelry on her and things like that. If we leave her face for now and just get her kind of her dress and her bandana painted in, and then we'll put her features on at the end. What we have to do is we really need to paint her glasses in before we paint in her eyes and things like that, because we'll be painting over the top. So so we'll get the pattern in. So I was going to do, I was trying to think, so I was doing purple and blue, wasn't I? So I think what I'll do is I'm going to do some different flowers in different colours. So for her dress, I'm going to do stripes. So I'm going to use the blue for the bandana. And as I go across with those, I'm going to ever so slightly curve them as well. So, and I'm also going to use the blue in the sort of a slightly lighter version on the bandana as well. So I'm going to go across. I'm using a flat square brush to put in my stripes. So if you go a bit close to your handbag, do that in sections. Like this, and I'm going to go around and under, and then carry on again. Again, being a bit careful when I get near my handbag. And another stripe there. And then I'm going to do one last one down across the bottom. Like that. There we go. And then up at the top bit, I'm going to add a bit more white to my blue. Make it a bit lighter. And I'm going to make some flowers. So first thing I'm going to do is basically, oh, actually, I've got the wrong brush here. Let me use a round brush, it's much easier. So with my round brush, I'm basically going to start off with a circle, and then I'm going to make that into 4 circles next to each other. Like that. And I'm just going to paint some of those all over my bandana. I'll do one here. I'm going to leave spaces as well. And I'm going to put some where there's only kind of like half of it showing. Do one more big one here, I think. And then the rest of them, I'm going to have kind of half of it coming off of the edge. So I'll have kind of like bits coming off there. I'd have one bit there. I'd have one bit here, this side, maybe one up there, and maybe one down there. And then, so you can see I've started to get a pattern. And then I'm going to switch to my purple that I used in my dress. and I'm going to put some spots in between. So, and then I'm going to switch to white. So give your brush a really good clean out. And just using the white, I'm going to put in some more spots and the middle of my kind of Mary Quant daisy. So show you what I mean. So I'm going to put a big circle in the middle there. Where I've got them partly going off, the middle's going to be there as well. I'm going to make sure I do that all the way over. Lots more spots and a few more middles. There we go. So other things that we can put on are bracelets and things, and we also need to put on her sunglasses. So the next thing I'm going to do is pop on her glasses. If you have a look at the original one that I did, so to make these look like they're see-through, can you see I've done this heart in blue, and then where it goes over the top of different things, I've painted those in the colour that they would become if the two were mixed together. So where the glasses are blue and they go over pink, they become purple. Where they are blue and they go over green, they become more of a greeny blue. So that's something to keep in mind while you're doing this next bit. And when we paint a heart, we basically, if you imagine you paint a figure 8 that is on its side and then a triangle underneath. So I said I was going to do mine in bright pink. I'm still going to add a little bit of white to it, just because I want to make sure that it sits nice and flat over the top of the grey. So nearly run out of my pink. So I've got a bit of pink. I'm going to add a bit of white to it. Get a good colour. So these are going to be super. I suppose I could have done them brown and then they would have matched her bag. So first thing I'm going to do over on the left hand side is basically do my figure 8. So even with the pink, I'm going to just start off by going over, and then I can work out what I'm going to do when I know what the placement of it is. So, oh, she's got massive glasses, my one. So don't go over halfway with your glasses. So I've done a figure 8 and then put a triangle basically underneath it. So heart-shaped sunglasses the heart tends to be quite wide. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to leave a bit of a gap because that's where the bridge bit is. And I'm going to paint in. So I'm going to go over part of my bandana. And then I'm going to go with my little V underneath. And then what I'm going to do is match up or mix up a kind of pinky purple colour And where it goes over my bandana, actually I could use some of my purple from earlier, where the pink and the glasses go over the bandana, I'm going to use the purple and go over that. So make sure I scrape all of the extra bits off, and I'm going to just go over the top of that area. So it doesn't matter, they're very close colours, so it doesn't matter if they're still a little bit on the wet side. So as long as you can see the difference in between the two colours, that's all that you really need. So if you need to make it a little bit darker, do. So let's see if this shows up a bit better on the screen for you. There, you guys should be able to see that a little bit easier now. Yeah, so you can see now where the colour, the pink, overlaps the blue, and that will make our glasses look like they're a bit more see-through. So you can also, if you want to, you can give her some bangles or some beads. You could give her a necklace if you want to as well. So just giving those glasses a bit of a moment to dry off. So any colours that you've used, so for example, you've used the pink in the glasses, and like I have, and not used it anywhere else, then what you can do is give her like a pink necklace or a pink bracelet, and it all helps to just tie all of your picture together and make her look like she's got a very coordinated outfit on. So let's put a pink bangle on her there. So I'm also, while I've got the pink out, I'm going to put a strap on her bag. So I'm going to go across here like this. And I'm going to put a little tag on it as well. So there we go. Oh, it looks nice with the blue and the pink together. Excellent. And then what we're going to do for this last bit is we need a colour to go in between the panels on her glasses. So use a colour that you've used elsewhere. You can use a metallic if you want. So if you've got a gold or silver, you could use that. And all we're going to do is do a little arch between those glasses and a little stick that comes up. So because my girl's got a brown bag, I'm going to use my brown to help tie her outfit together. So I'm just going to do a little kind of thing. It's like a little bridge that goes over your nose on sunglasses. So I've done that. And then I'm going to do a little line that's going to go from the top of her glasses kind of back. So you can do it on both sides. So that's her sort of sunglasses. That's the bit that goes to her ears. I know technically they should go higher, but because her ears are in a different place, but we don't have to stick to that kind of stuff. So, and then what I'm going to do is grab myself a tiny little bit of black and I'm going to, oh, there we go. Got a little bit of black and a nice thin brush, add a bit of water to my paint. And I'm watering it down a little bit more than we've been using, again, because we're about to paint some lines. So I'm going to put some shadow lines on her bag. So she's got a little bit of an edge there, and some bits like that. So we got some details on her bag. And then I'm also going to, so do you remember that little diamond that we did in the middle, and then we faded the top of it out into our colour, background colour? I'm going to put a V along the bottom of that, and then a line that goes straight the way down. So use a really fine brush for this. And then I'm going to put, so you can make her happy or you can make her sort of pouty. It's totally up to you. And then I'm going to put some eyes in. So in the middle of my heart-shaped glasses, I'm going to do 2 eyes like that are closed. And then I'm going to put a couple of eyelashes on her like that. So that's kind of it. If you've done some flowers down at the bottom and you want to put a few more sort of details and stuff in, you want to put some centers into your flowers, just pick any of the colours that you've used on her and just dot some of those in. So again, the reason I'm saying use colours you've already used in other places is because repeating colours will help to make your painting kind of all tie in together and make sense. And if you, so you can put a little few sort of leaves and stalks and things like that in as well. If you kind of, sometimes paintings can look like you've cut up different bits and put them all together if you don't echo your colours throughout your painting. So how's everyone getting on? You all okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish my recording and then I'm going to come round and have a look. I have just realised I've missed a bit though. I haven't put any shadow on the bandana. So that's the last thing that I need to do. Just looking at mine, I was thinking that looks a bit bare, but I couldn't work out what it was that I was missing. So I'm going to use some of it, whatever colour you've used. I'm going to use a slightly darker version of it. So if you've gone with pink, go with a slightly darker pink. If you've gone like me, I've used ultramarine and white, then I'm going to use just ultramarine. And basically what I'm going to do is do a line. So we had that circle that we put in. I'm going to put a line in either side of that. And I'm going to put a couple of lines coming out into the bandana. You do sort of 2 or 3, it's up to you. And then I'm going to just go underneath where the bow was. So go like that and up. And then I'm going to have a couple of lines that are going to come across the bandana like that. And now that is finished. So I'm going to have a look at you guys, see how you've got on, and I'm going to stop the recording now. So don't say goodbye to me if you're doing it live. This is just for the recording. Thank you for painting with us and hopefully see you again soon.